Hi, I'm Father Robert Pace, Rector of Trinity Episcopal Church in Fort Worth. This week we've started our home communion. Let's find out more about that. Hi, Amy. It's so good to see you. I wanted to talk to you today about our home communion. It was so much fun yesterday when we were handing out all those wafers and seeing everybody's wonderful faces at the church as they picked up the wafers. That was just a wonderful experience.
It was. I loved getting to see everybody. It's hard to recognize people with their masks and their sunglasses on. We were all like a bunch of bandits.
It really is. Well, what I wanted to ask you today is, and I'm sure so many people are wondering as well, now that they have their wafers, these wafers have been consecrated. They're holy, they're sacred. So what are some ideas about how they store their wafers? What can they do at their houses now that they have their wafers?
There's a plethora of options for people, and I've already gotten a few pictures back from people who are showing me what they're doing with their wafers, how they're storing their wafers, how they're honoring Christ's presence in their house. I made my own video to show, so let's watch that for a minute and then we can come back and talk about it.
Good morning, friends. I wanted to show you how I've got my home altar set up. We ask everybody to treat their home communion kits with a certain amount of respect and to show us what you've done. So I wanted to play show and tell at my place. So these are pictures of family members who have preceded us in death. David's parents, David's grandparents, my brother. Everybody's kind of represented on these two shelves. It just is how it works at our house. They kind of all grouped together with their beautiful photos. And then I have some tiny icons. One of my mentor pastors died fairly recently. And when his family gave me some of his things to distribute, there were these tiny icons. He was an icon writer. And there were these tiny icons in with his stuff. So I have put these in the same place, collected them all in the same place, and put them here. On Facebook comments, David Yeomans mentioned that Sheila had bought a battery-operated candle to have so that they would be ready for their home communion set. And I thought that sounded like a great idea. So I bought a dozen of these, and I'm just going to leave it sitting there burning. And when that one burns out, I'll use another one. Since I'm only using one at a time, 12 should last me for a long time. So this is a napkin ring and a napkin that I think look pretty together. So I have placed my communion wafers in this pretty little jar that at one point I think held yogurt. I'm kind of a sucker for packaging, so I'll buy yogurt if it's in a pretty jar. So I've placed mine in there. As you can see, it's a nice airtight container, a good place to have it. So it's easy for me to get into it, get my communion wafers out for each Sunday that we will need, and then place my ring back on top of it. And it gives me a pretty nice place to store my communion wafers, to remind me that I have the presence of Christ always in me, always in my house right now. So it should be a good protected space for them. This is a bookcase that's in the side of my living room, not a place that anybody messes with a lot. So when my housekeepers come in, or we don't really have small children working around our house, moving around our house right now, but pretty much anybody coming in would, I think, pretty much not understand or not pay that much attention to it. So it's a beautiful space in its own space, but without being, it's not going to get knocked over. Nothing's going to happen to it because it's kind of in this tucked away, protected space. So that's the thought I've put into mine. That's how mine looks. I'm so happy to be able to have home communion with everybody else on Sundays. We can feel like we're back together in that way too, just like we're together on Facebook and together on YouTube right now. So God bless you. See you later. Bye.
Oh, that was such a wonderful video. I love your idea, and I love the idea particularly of the candle that is not a real candle, but it's always lit. That's just a great idea. Very creative, and I think this is a way of showing the sacred nature of these wafers and the body of Christ. Wonderful idea, and I love also the communion of saints, the way that you did that. Really wonderful. Well, some other questions I might have about this is what might we do if there are leftover wafers, and then how do we actually consume these wafers? What's the process of consuming the wafers? What's the process of doing that?
So let's talk about the consumption part first. What we're going to do is every week, as we are worshiping along, either on Facebook or on YouTube, and at any time in the week when you are worshiping with us with those videos, it doesn't have to be on Sunday morning. When you are worshiping with those videos and we get to the point of the service when the priest says, the body of Christ, the bread of heaven, and consumes the wafer himself or herself, then you are also going to take your wafer and consume it. And you can say those words to yourself also. If you have other people in the room, you can share with them just like a priest shares with you in the space and say, the body of Christ, the bread of heaven, and everyone can consume together. It's a fantastic family activity. It's a very intimate moment within a family to take communion together. And we're really hoping that this will be a way that you can grow together intimately with Christ, with your family, with those that you live with in your space. So that's the time in the service when you're going to consume them. Now, there may be weeks that you miss worship. There may be weeks when you decide to go to the noon outside worship service at Trinity, and that is amazing when you are available and ready to do that. But that means you're probably going to have some leftover wafers at the end of the month. When that time comes, just go ahead and consume those wafers yourself. That's the easiest and the very best way to deal with the body of Christ, to honor the body of Christ, is to take it into your own body, to allow yourself to be changed by that. It's a very simple way to honor that body of Christ by taking it into our own bodies in that way.
I think that's really a wonderful solution. I think that's exactly how we should deal with this and handle it. Well, thank you so much, Amy. This was really wonderful to catch up with you again, and I can't wait for us to be together again. But what a wonderful thing for us to be together with home communion and to share this wonderful sacrament together. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks. God bless you. Bye-bye.